Hi, everybody. My name is Megan, and I'm one of the writing and study skills tutors at the Wake Tech TLC. Today, I want to present to you our Practicing Success workshop. This workshop is a great start to getting in a more productive academic mindset, but please don't let this be the end. Come and see us in the TLC and or many of the other great resources we've got available at Wake Tech to help you on your academic journey. So the first thing I want you to keep in mind for the duration of this workshop, but also, the rest of your academic career, one, mindset, you can do this. You've got to have that positive mindset that you can achieve what you want to achieve. Success is possible. Next, practice makes progress. Maybe not perfect, but progress. You can move in the positive direction with practice. And finally, put first things first. You're going to have to prioritize, make decisions about what you want to prioritize first. So first things first. So first, talk a little bit or think a little bit about what obstacles you're facing right now in your academic journey. Are those academic specifically? Are they personal? What sort of obstacles are you facing? So now we're going to talk a little bit about sort of the main points that we're going to go over during this presentation today. First, we're going to talk about how you examine your attitudes towards those obstacles. We're going to talk about mindset and mindfulness, really, being aware of your internal mindset. Next, we're going to talk about how to fill gaps in knowledge areas that you have, which everybody has these gaps. How are we going to fill them? And finally, we're going to talk about some learning strategies, some study strategies that'll help you be more effective and efficient as a learner. So the first category, self-reflection, so incredibly important. Some of you might be doing it already. Some of you may feel a little less sure about this idea. Some of the things to keep in mind as you reflect on your own mentality, on your own self, on your own thoughts. One, you want to be optimistic. Try to keep that positive attitude. Try not to get down on yourself and assume that you're going to fail. You want to be honest with yourself. You want to think about your strengths and weaknesses. We all can potentially prioritize one over the other. We're like, we got this, everything's perfect. Or, oh, I'm terrible, I'm the worst. Don't do either. Try to stay in the middle and look at all things. Be fair. Be fair to yourself. You may have failures from time to time, but that can help you improve. So don't be too hard on yourself in those circumstances. And finally, be kind to yourself. We often are our own worst critic. Extend to yourself the kindness that you would extend to others. So now we're going to do a little practice in this self-reflection. I'm going to ask a series of questions. I want to rank, and I want you to rank yourself internally in your own mind in the section of never, rarely, sometimes, mostly, always. So when I ask the questions, think to yourself, do I do this never, rarely, sometimes, mostly, or always? First, I notice what I'm thinking. I can identify how I'm feeling. I can change my emotional/mental state. I have people who support me and want me to succeed. Never, rarely, sometimes, mostly, always. I struggle with reading, writing, or math. I don't want others to know I'm falling behind in a class. I review where I went wrong when I receive an assignment grade. I schedule time for tutoring to improve my weaker skills. Never, rarely, sometimes, mostly, always. Be honest with yourself here and think about what that means. Last, I use flashcards to remember important material. I study or finish assignments in one sitting. I handwrite or draw my notes. I'm unsure what to study before a test. So think a little bit about how that felt. Were those questions easy to answer? Were they challenging? Had you thought about some of those things before? Did you note any areas you're like, you know what, I really should do that? Right, so moving on to the next section of self-reflection, being a human. It's the only reason that we learn. No other creatures on earth go to school, but it can also be our biggest obstacle because we have a lot of emotions that we carry with us, can sometimes be an impediment to learning. So it's important to consider that humanity, that emotionality, because the voice we listen to the most is our own. It's very important for us to work on that internal monologue, that self-talk that we hear, because we are not thinking machines that feel, we are feeling machines that think. Those emotions come first. After that, we can layer on the thought, the logic. So here are a few steps to this self-reflection, this mindfulness process. So the first step is to evaluate your own thinking. Think about what you're thinking. Are you saying things like, ugh, I'm terrible at math, or I am not smart, or I should never have come to college? Are you saying those things to yourself? Ask yourself, is this true? Is this actually something that is accurate? Or am I making this up? Am I just repeating negative things to myself? So that's the first step. Evaluate that thinking. Don't just take what you say to yourself as true. Evaluate it. Think about why you're saying it. And then you want to look at what's driving that story. Why are you saying those things? So once you've identified what you're saying to yourself, you want to think about why. Um, for example, I know that math is something I'm always telling myself, oh, I'm terrible at math. I'm not a math person. The other math tutors I work with are like, please don't say that. And it's true. It's a negative pattern of thought that I've gotten caught up in. And I know why I've had that. I've evaluated my feelings behind that. It's because I've just had some bad experiences in elementary school and high school, really a lot of struggle with math. So it's led to this negative pattern. So I've evaluated what's driving that story. As you do this, you want to focus on your behavior, not a state of being. And so, for example, a state of being is I'm bad at math. Whereas the behavior would be, I haven't worked hard enough. I haven't put enough time into math. I haven't, I have developed a negative pattern of thinking. So for example, say that you had a big test coming and you spent the night before hanging out with friends instead of studying, and therefore you got a bad grade. An initial reaction might be, oh, I'm so dumb. I am the worst person ever. But don't say that. Say that action was dumb. I shouldn't have done that action. Not I am a mistake, but I made a mistake. And everyone can make mistakes. So it's important not to take that negative thing that happened and let it become a part of who you are. It's something you did, not who you are. And that's a very important thing to acknowledge, which is, hard to acknowledge, but be aware of that thought and try to practice it. And finally, the last step, you've evaluated your thinking, you've looked at why you feel that way, why you think that way. Then the next thing is agility. So just like physical agility is moving from one idea or one action to another, jumping, climbing, running, mental agility is the same thing, only it's in your mind, going from one thought process or one feeling to another. So the way to do that is first, let me give an example. So first, say you log in to Blackboard and you see an incredibly overwhelming assignment. There's an essay component, there's a video component, there's an interview component, huge assignment. So your initial reaction might be, oh my gosh, this is too much. Why did I ever come to college? This is the worst thing ever. What am I going to do? So first you want to pause and examine that thinking. You ask yourself, is this really true? Is it true that I shouldn't have enrolled in college? Is it true that I can't do this? Maybe not. So identify how you're feeling there. Maybe identify that maybe you're feeling a little overwhelmed. Maybe you're feeling nervous, maybe uncertain. Maybe these are all ways that you're feeling. So you want to pause, show yourself some kindness, say, wow, you know what? I can see why this is overwhelming. This is a big assignment. This is a lot. Don't judge yourself or pity yourself. You want to give yourself some time. So maybe you're feeling overwhelmed. Gonna step back, maybe talk to a friend, maybe come to the TLC, maybe talk to a family member, or just take a walk. Then you come back to that assignment and you make a plan. That's the agility. You go from that negative mindset of, oh my gosh, I can't do this, to a positive mindset of, oh, okay, you know what? This is overwhelming, but I think I know what I can do. I'm going to talk to my instructor. I'm going to talk with a classmate. I'm going to go to the TLC, see an advisor. There's lots of options for how you could tackle this assignment. So it's important to go from that negative mind space to a more positive mind space so you can move forward. So thoughts here, procrastination is often this mindset issue. You have this feeling of, oh, I'm afraid, I don't want to do this, I'm scared of this assignment, and then it leads you to put it off. We often will put off things that we're nervous about. So procrastination isn't always about time. Sometimes it's about the way you feel about what it is you have to do. So examining that emotional state can help. So think about yourself, how you feel this approach could assist you. Is this something you've used before? Do you think you could use it? All right, the next category is being a learner. So we're going to talk about academic trouble areas, how to improve those areas, and all the resources on campus that can assist. So first, ugly ducklings. We often feel like an ugly duckling. We feel left behind. We're like, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough for college. But almost all students struggle in some key area. Math, for example. I work in a college. I've been a writing tutor for over a decade, and math is something I still struggle with. We all have our weaknesses. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with us. So let's work on troubleshooting. The first thing to do is you have to admit that area of weakness. You have to admit that there are things that you struggle with. You don't just want to power through and pretend it doesn't exist. College is for learning. There's going to be things you don't know. That's the whole reason you're here. So strong students get help. If you want to be a strong student, an academically successful student, that means you reach out and utilize the resources that you're paying for to do better, to work harder and get what you need to do done. Once you've admitted those areas of weakness, don't try to go it alone. Of course, you can try to solve an issue on your own, but you don't have to. There's lots of resources available. That's what college is for. It's for learning together with other people. So in another slide, in a couple slides, I'm going to show you all the resources we've got available that can help. And finally, invest in cures, not band-aids. And what I mean there is that you want to try to solve a problem before it becomes a bigger problem. Don't just smack a band-aid on it and hope it'll go away. You want to try and build your skills early. So for example, as a writing tutor, something I see a lot, a student comes in and they say, help, my paper's due tomorrow and I haven't started. What should I do? Automatically, we're in a more rushed state. That student's not going to get as much done because they've got this anxiety, because they are trying to finish early, and I'm not going to be able to help them as much as if they'd come earlier on, maybe had several appointments before they turn in their paper. So it's really important to do that. So come early when you go to get assistance. Also, you might have to prioritize some key areas by taking fewer courses. So for example, say that you really struggle with history, for example. If you really struggle with history, and maybe you also struggle with calculus, don't take both those classes at once. You want to make sure that you give yourself the space to really do your best. And that might slow things down a little bit, but that's better than having to retake a class 3 times because you keep taking too many classes at once. All right, so here are all those resources that you can use on Wake campus, on Wake Tech's many campuses. So first, we've got academic success coaches. These folks are kind of generalists. You can go see them and they can help you set up an academic plan. They can help you with your goals, and they can also help direct you to other campus resources. So if you're not sure where to go, these folks are a good place to start. And here they all are. I will send you, I won't send you personally because this is just a video, but if you want to have the PowerPoint slides, please contact your instructor or your advisor, and we can send the slides to you so you can view them, and you'll have all these links available with the instructors' names and email addresses and so on. You can meet with them in person, online, you can make appointments, and I highly recommend, if you haven't used any of these success coaches, absolutely go meet with them. And we've got a lot of other resources available too on our website. You can see under the Care Center banner, there's a lot of different resources. For example, we have Career and Employment Center. These folks can help you figure out your career path, help you with your resume, help you prepare for job interviews. Really, really, really great resource to utilize. Next, we've got the TLC, which is where I work. We help you with all the academic areas. So foreign languages, English, writing, math, sciences, computers, all that stuff we can assist. We have the library. They can help you check out books, of course. They can also help you get laptops or wireless hotspots if needed. So go early in the semester, and if you need those resources, they can assist you with that. It can also help you with research for a paper or an assignment. We got the Care Center. They can help you with challenges like food, transportation, housing, and they can help direct you to other resources that might be available on campus and in the community. And finally, wellness counseling, really, really good resource. If you're not so much struggling academically, but more emotionally, you've got a lot going on personally in your life, go see one of the wellness counselors. It's a really helpful thing to do. If you've never done it before, there's absolutely no shame in it. I've gone to therapy. Lots of people I know have. It's a super duper useful thing to do. However, I want to point out on the website, they're limited. They only have a few, but there is a phone number that you can call. It's not like an urgent hotline sort of phone number. It's a service that Wake Tech pays for. It's just staffed by therapists, and you can call someone off of Wake Tech's campus and talk with them about anything that you might be struggling with also. And again, I want to emphasize, it's not some sort of urgent hotline. They're just therapists that can help you. So that link is available down at the bottom of the wellness counseling page. So now take a moment to think about which resources of these have you used in the past? Which ones do you think you want to use in the future? Any thoughts about it? Last point, improving study habits, super duper important. The reason this is important is these good habits pay off in the long run. If you cultivate these up front, it can be kind of a steep uphill climb. If you feel like you've never really had a study strategy that works well for you, it can take a while to develop it. But once you do, you'll have it. And then you're more or less done. You can tweak as you go. Every class is a little different, but you'll know the sort of strategies that work best for you. So it might take a little time at first, but it's worth working and building up those patterns. And that's absolutely something we can help with as well. The first strategy that's useful for pretty much everybody is spacing out your learning. And what I mean by that is to take things in small chunks. Don't just sit for 4 hours and read your textbook. Do it 15 minutes at a time instead. For example, if you were learning to play an instrument, you might practice for an hour or so every day for 4 months, or practice for 6 hours in one sitting once a month. That wouldn't be nearly as effective, the 6-hour version, because you're going to get tired. When your brain's tired, it just can't work its best. So manage your time by prioritizing small blocks of time, 15 minutes here, 20 minutes there, half an hour there, to do a little bit at a time. And it really does help your brain work. And it's really hard to find that perfect magical block of 4 hours to do your work. It's much easier to find those 20-minute, 30-minute blocks of time. Next, make information your own. I can't emphasize this enough. Don't just write down what your instructor says word for word. Don't just take pictures of your slides. You want to write it down in a way that makes sense to you. Use examples that come from your own life. Use color coding, use outlines, draw little diagrams, create your own quiz in Quizlet, which is an online app website. I can help out with that if you have questions. But there's a whole bunch of resources available online that you can utilize to help you study. You can start a study group that requires you to rotate the role of teacher, where you each take turns teaching each other. As a tutor, I must say, that's an amazing way to learn. When you're teaching something to somebody else, you have to articulate it and explain all the little intricacies. It's so much easier to remember it later. And finally, review, revise, and repeat. And what I mean by that is you have to leave yourself time. You can't just power through at the last minute and turn it in and never look at the assignment ever again. First, you want to make sure you leave yourself time to review your work. And what that might mean is set an artificial deadline. Say your paper is due on Friday, tell yourself it's due on Thursday. Write it down in your planner as due on Thursday so that you'll have it done, so you'll have enough time to come back Friday morning, read over it again to catch any silly mistakes before you turn it in. Revising helps you learn. When you read over something again, when you think about it a second time with that gap in between, it helps to reaffirm all those ideas in your head. You're viewing things from the revision helicopter. You got a bird's eye view rather than being like down in the weeds when you're working on it. It really does help to get that information stuck in your head. And finally, the repeat. When you turn in an assignment and you get feedback on it, it's really important that you don't just ignore it. You have to read that feedback so that you can improve for the next time. Look at what you did well, look at what you didn't do well. How can you improve? Talk with your instructor on what to do to improve for the next time. Very important. So we are wrapping up the video. Thanks so much for watching. I'm just going to go over those main points. So the first thing, examine your inner story, reflect upon your own experiences, use that agility to go from that negative mindset to a more positive mindset, which takes practice. That's what we're here for. Come talk with me or any of our other tutors if you've got questions about how to do that. We can do it in real time, in the moment. Next, target the gaps in your academic areas. Meet with tutors, meet with your instructor, meet with success coaches. Find out how to overcome those challenges rather than letting them define you. And finally, own your own learning. Write things in your own words, understand it, make it your knowledge, because you're here to become a member of a new academic group, whether that's HVAC repair or nursing or English or math. You are going to become a member of this group. So you have to take ownership of that information that you're learning. So think about these strategies. How can you use these in your learning? And I mean that for real. Think of one key thing that you're going to take away that you're going to do. Remember, first things first. So choose one thing that you're going to do and build upon that to improve overall. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope to see you at some point in the TLC, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest of the semester. You can do it. You can do it. Keep that mindset of positivity, and I believe in you, even though I haven't met you. Hopefully I'll see you one day. But I believe in every student that I talk to because you're here, and that is the key. You're here at Wake Tech. That means that you can do it. I absolutely believe that.